federal judge today ordered the liquidation of conspiracy theorist Alex Jones's personal assets, but dismissed his company's separate bankruptcy case, leaving the future of his Infowars media platform uncertain, as he owes $1.5 billion for his false claims that the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting was a hoax here. We heard from Alex Jones and his attorney outside the courthouse there in Houston. Let's listen.
Sure. I'm Vicky Driver. Vickie Driver. That's correct. Thank you all. Jones and his team are very pleased with the outcome of today's hearings. We believe the bankruptcy court and Judge Lopez were ultimately fair and wise in his application of the law to the unique facts of these cases. Mr. Jones did everything he could to preserve as much value as he could in free speech systems to pay the plaintiffs and to save as many jobs as he possibly could while working against a constant onslaught of obstruction and distrust. This fractured process is what led to the inevitable result of free speech systems bankruptcy case being dismissed. While Mr. Jones hoped to reach a settlement with the plaintiffs on terms of a plan that would have paid them over $55 million, because such proposals were rejected by the plaintiffs, he now looks forward to completing a liquidation process so that he and hopefully everyone can start to move on to a new chapter of their life. Thank you.
Can you clarify, is it liquidation of personal assets or free speech system? Here, go ahead.
Mr. Jones's case this morning was converted to one under Chapter 7, and that is a liquidation process.
Yeah, here. I'm going to just say something real quick, okay? I've said from the beginning, Judge Lopez is a very smart and fair judge, and I went into bankruptcy because I was out of money, and there were lies in the corporate media that had hundreds of millions of dollars. All the New York Times and Washington Post and CNN reports you heard the last 2 years that Jones is going to go to jail. He's got hundreds of millions of dollars hidden that have been put into this court. None of that was true. None of that was true. And then when I sat there and tried to pay them more than I've ever made in my life, that wasn't good enough either for the political groups that are behind this. This is about taking me off the air. And that has now been recognized and understood. And the judge specifically said, I'm not taking Alex Jones off the air today. That's what this, he said, that is not what this is about. So that's the reality. Go read the transcript of what the judge said in his lengthy, thoughtful ruling and understand that what you've seen in the corporate media about me or what I said about Sandy Hook or any of this has no bearing on reality. And again, all these claims that I'm some billionaire or something, so people could tell a jury that so they would believe it, or that I ever made money off these people. It's not real. I barely ever covered Sandy Hook. I have been completely sick of it for years. The internet questioned it. Years before I was sued, I said I believed it happened. I think the families have been used by political groups. I wish them well. And everything I've said in court has come out to be true over and over and over again. And now I'm going to try to move forward and maximize the amount of money we can make at Infowars to then have a wind down, take care of our employees, the 44 people who we just saved their jobs for a while, and maximize stuff for the creditors. Because I don't care about money, I care about being on the air. So that's it. God bless you all. You know, we had some of the crew up there trying to take over my X account, my Twitter account today. The judge shot all that down. This is still a free country to some extent. And the truth is coming out about what I've really said and what I've really done. So I appreciate you being here. I'm very thankful to my lawyers. God bless and good luck.
Are you still in control of your Infowars and Free Speech Systems, LLC?
All right, so that was Alex Jones and his attorney's brief statement. So just to recap here, this federal judge in Houston today ordered the liquidation of his personal assets, but dismissed his company's separate bankruptcy case. So this leaves the future of his Infowars media platform uncertain. He still owes $1.5 billion for his false claims that the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting was a hoax. So the judge in the case, his name Christopher Lopez, he approved converting Jones's proposed personal bankruptcy reorganization to a liquidation, but threw out the attempted reorganization of his company, Austin, Texas-based Free Speech Systems. Many of the Sandy Hook families had asked that the company also be liquidated. So if the company, Free Speech Systems' bankruptcy reorganization, had been converted to a liquidation, Jones could have lost ownership of the company, its social media accounts, the Infowars studio in Austin, and all copyrights as the company's possessions were sold. The judge smiled, Jones smiled as the judge dismissed the company's case. You just heard from Jones there as well. It was not immediately clear, though, what will happen to Free Speech Systems, Infowars' parent company that Jones built into a multi-million-dollar moneymaker over the past 25 years. So one scenario, according to the Associated Press, could be the company and Infowars are allowed to keep operating while efforts to collect on the $1.5 billion debt are made in state courts in Texas and Connecticut, where the families won lawsuits against Jones. So wanted to make sure we got this in there as well. This was kind of a tragic side story to the horrible mass shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut, now almost 12 years ago. So I want to kind of cap this story off on a silver lining, so to speak. Sharon Crowley there at Fox 5 in New York says this: congratulations, Newtown High School, Connecticut, class of 2024. Survivors of Sandy Hook, your great lives await. We brought you this news earlier this week that the survivors of the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, who watched their classmates get gunned down, their first grade classmates, the survivors, walking on high school graduation there at Newtown High School. So if you can find some silver lining in that horrible tragedy, bittersweet nonetheless, but these survivors have their classmates' memories in their minds as they go off to college. And they continue talking about the issue of gun reform as well. That was spurred in the wake of the Sandy Hook school shooting. So I wanted to make sure we got that in there.